Hello, my name is Declan Mulready from the Audi Academy. Today we're going to take a look at the Audi A4 and S4 from the following categories: exterior, interior, safety, performance and technology. And when we take a look at technology, we'll actually break it into two categories. We'll break it into electronics and then we'll break it into engineering. Taking a look at the Audi A4 S4 from a design point of view, this car has all the traditional Audi cues. When we start at the side of the car, you'll see that the car has a very high shoulder line, and this gives the car a muscular stance on the road. The next thing you'll notice is the way the roof leans inwards, and the benefit of this is, from an aerodynamic point of view, it makes the car very efficient, but it also gives the car a more aggressive stance on the road. The next line I'd like to show you is this line right here, and this line is called the dynamic line. Now on the A4 S4 models, it's quite aggressive, but at the same time, it's not too aggressive. As we move towards the front of the car, you will see all the traditional Audi cues. We have the single frame grille, we have the headlights that have built-in LEDs, which are available on some models, standard on others, xenon headlights, and of course, we have the lower grilles here as well. Looking at the A4 S4 from a safety point of view, the first thing you need to bear in mind is that these cars are bred in Germany. They're designed to be used on the Autobahn at high speeds. Needless to say, any accident you get into, it's not going to be a small accident. In fact, most cars end up getting hit multiple times. From a customer's point of view, most people think safety is airbags and that sort of stuff. However, when you take a look at safety, one of the most important aspects is the structure the car is designed around. When you take a look at the A4 S4, they've been best picks for the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Both cars do an absolutely fantastic job. Looking at how they're constructed, they start out with a rigid steel safety cage. The start of the cage starts in the bottom of the A pillar, moves all the way up, moves through the B pillar, back into the C pillar, and then into the D pillar. If we open up the doors, you can see that the A pillar is incredibly thick. If you were to do this on most cars, you can actually get your fingers to join when you put your hands around it. However, on this car, that's not possible. Needless to say, this is incredibly strong when you get hit side on. The next thing is side impact beams. We have multiple beams in each door. And the idea behind this is when the car gets hit, instead of the energy being concentrated in one area and trying to push through this opening, now what happens is those beams spread the energy sideways and keep the energy away from the driver and passengers. So when we talk about safety, one of the most important aspects about safety is avoiding the accident in the first place. Both the A4 and the S4 are equipped with a standard piece of equipment called ESP, or Electronic Stability Program. Its basic job is to brake an individual wheel to make sure that the car does not skid either in an understeer situation or an oversteer situation. That way the driver maintains control and gets around whatever object is in front of him. We also have the ABS built into this system as well. And what that gives the driver is absolute control. So even when they're applying the brakes full, they still have full steering control of the vehicle as well. From a performance point of view, the A4 comes with a 211 horsepower, 4-cylinder TFSI motor. This engine produces 258 pound-feet of torque at an incredibly low 1500 RPM. And what that means in plain English is basically as soon as you put your foot on the gas, you've got the engine's maximum torque pushing you. So needless to say, you've got great acceleration. But one of the other benefits that goes with this is fantastic fuel mileage. When we get to the S4, we have a 333 horsepower, 3-litre V6. That engine produces 325 pound-feet of torque at a very low 2900 RPM. And again, what this gives you is that incredible push in the back as you put your foot on the accelerator. One of the other great benefits of the S4 is, considering its performance level, it also gets very good gas mileage. Now, depending on which engine you get, in the case of the 2.0, you get a 6-speed manual or you get a 6-speed Tiptronic. In the case of the S4, you get a 6-speed manual or you get the 7-speed S-tronic transmission. This transmission is one of the fastest shifting transmissions in the world. It is actually a full manual gearbox. However, we've done away with the clutch and we've given you the option of shifting by yourself either with paddles or using the gear lever. When we talk about performance, there's no point in having incredible horsepower and torque to get you going if you don't have the suspension and brakes to help slow you down and also enjoy the corners. So why don't we jump in and take a look at that. The suspension on both the A4 and the S4 is a very advanced 5-link suspension system, and that's what we have on the front end. The benefit of this is that it gives you a perfectly flat contact patch with the road at all times. I know this seems kind of odd talking about this, but other cars in the class use a McPherson strut arrangement, and that does not give you that benefit. One of the other things that we have built into the suspension design on the A4, both for the front and the rear, is what we call anti-dive and anti-squat suspension. What that means is when you put your foot on the brakes, instead of the car doing this, the car hunkers down like this. The anti-squat is when you go to accelerate, instead of the car doing this, the car actually sits down like this. It makes the car much more comfortable to drive, and it also makes the car much more predictable. From a braking point of view, we have a very advanced braking system. We have 4-wheel disc brakes with ABS built in. One of the benefits of ABS is that it helps you avoid an accident because it still gives you steering control even when your foot is full on the brakes. We also have something built in called brake assist, and what this does is as the driver feels the ABS kick in many cases they start to lift their foot off the brakes because of the sensation that goes with it. As they lift their foot off, brake assist keeps the brakes applied at 100% pressure, and that way the car comes to a stop as quickly as it possibly can. Next up, speaking of control, we have two great features. We have Audi Drive Select and we have the optional Sport Differential. Audi Drive Select allows the driver to select steering, transmission and suspension settings that will suit the type of driving that they're actually doing. So if they're sitting on the highway cruising home in the evening, I'm sure the driver would pick comfort. But if they find an absolutely fantastic back road, they can go in and select the performance option. Next up, we have Quattro's standard equipment on the S4 and it's available on the A4. One of the greatest benefits of Quattro, people normally think about it in reference to snow. However, Quattro works exceptionally well in the wet and even better in the dry. In fact, I would say it's the only all-wheel drive system that will give you more grip in dry weather because it puts the power to the wheels that can use it most. Looking at the interior in the Audi A4 and S4 models, it's a very comfortable place to be. The first thing you're going to notice when you look around is the attention to detail in here, and that's something Audi is very definitely known for. Everything you look at has got a wonderful feel to it. Everything you see from a fit and finish point of view looks fantastic, and the materials, needless to say, are also top-notch as well. Looking at the ergonomics in here, the standard seat is actually very comfortable. Then you can upgrade to the S-Line, which has a more aggressive seat. Needless to say, when you get the S4, the seats are even more aggressive again. But when I say aggressive, they're wonderful for driving down a backcountry road, but they're also very comfortable to be in too. The steering wheel is a 3-spoke steering wheel, which is offered in all models. Very comfortable. It actually has indentations for your thumbs, so from a performance driving point of view, feels great. The instrumentation is very simple, very clear, very easy to read, but also very well designed and has a good look to it. Looking at the MMI display and looking at the dashboard, all very logical and very, very easy to use. In fact, this year, when you order the navigation system, the car now comes with HD radio as well. In fact, all models are coming with HD radio for 2011. We also have the moonroof, which is a fantastic option for this car. If you want to let your hair down, open the sunroof and it'll get blown around for you. We also have the onboard trip computer, which will let you know distance to empty, miles traveled, and how long you've been in the car as well. Looking at this car from a technology point of view, I always like to break technology into two different categories. One is electronics and the other is engineering. From an electronics point of view, this car has everything that a customer in this class of car is looking for. It's got a fantastic navigation system that has real-time traffic. It has a backup camera that works wonderfully well. It also has the additional parking lines built in there that's hooked up to the steering wheel so you know what direction you're going in. Makes it really easy to park. We also have adaptive cruise control. It's not a feature that's unique in the class. However, for customers that do spend a lot of time in the car and also a lot of time in traffic, it's a feature that works wonderfully well. And that feature also has brake guard built into it. And basically what that means, even when the cruise control is turned off, if the customer is getting too close to the car in front of them, the system gives them a warning. So now looking at the car from an engineering point of view, both the A4 and the S4 are built off the same platform. Looking at the A4, you have to bear in mind that it is built off the same platform as the S4, which means inherently it has an awful lot of additional capability built into it. Let's remember that the S4 can travel at 155 miles an hour, has a suspension system and chassis that's designed to be able to do that. One of the other things you have to bear in mind about these cars, it's not just about performance, it's also about luxury and comfort. One of the fantastic things about the suspension system and the body shell of these cars is that as you travel at big speeds, the cars are stable and comfortable. But as you travel down a backcountry road or down a city street that's cobblestone, you've got a suspension system that will be able to absorb all the bumps. As far as the body shell goes, the body shell is put together in a rather unique way. In many parts of the car, we use something called laser seam welding. And basically what it is an invisible seam all the way along, example, the roof line and the door shuts, that has one solid weld. Makes the car incredibly rigid. The benefit of that is when you've got a rigid car, you don't have to make the suspension very stiff in order to get great performance out of it. So you've got the added benefit of a car that's going to be more comfortable.